Robservations with Meyer Burnett.
When fandom was over and it ended after the Batman trailer, I started thinking about people like Martin Scorcese, who everyone is lamenting. They call it the death of cinema. And there's been a lot of talk, well, what does that mean? These movies are cinema, and of course they are. As a matter of fact, the craft, one of the things that struck me watching all of these, a lot of the videos were, we saw a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. Even on Batman, we saw a trailer, but we also saw a lot of footage of them actually making the movie. And it is very apparent that watching behind the scenes on Aquaman or Fury of the Gods or any of these things, how much creativity and work and joie de vivre go into making those things. I mean, for myself, I've been on the sets of movies like X-Men 2, Chronicles of Narnia, and for the longest time, Superman Returns, where I spent a year in Australia documenting the entire making of Superman Returns. And I can attest that while it is hard, difficult work, there's also a lot of fun to be had on movie sets making films. Despite the fact that, long hours and IATSE, hopefully the strike might be averted. News coming out seems to be good, that they might come up with some kind of a deal, so that's fantastic. But the idea that movies, they are cinema. Superhero movies, of course, are cinema. And you're seeing people working at the top of their game with the latest technology, and they're going to give us wonders, the likes of which we've never seen. But that said, I watched a strange thing hit me. I started thinking about what Scorsese said and what other filmmakers have been saying. And I'm seeing The Eternals, Tuesday, I think, which I'm deliriously excited to see. But I realized that there's so much stuff now. There's so many superhero movies. And I never thought we'd get an Eternals film. I never thought we're going to see the stirrings of a celestial who is gestating deep inside the earth, or if that's what indeed happens in the movie. I don't know, because I haven't seen it yet, but I think about the movies that I really love. The things that, the movies that made me want to make movies. Movies like All That Jazz, or All About Eve, or Almost Famous, just pulling 3 random A's out of my collection. Sunset Boulevard, War of the Worlds, The Godfather 1 and 2, Sidney Lumet's The Verdict. I was thinking about all the movies that made me want to make films. And I was thinking about, where are those movies now? And it really got me thinking about the idea of, okay, you watch something like Squid Game, which I'm watching with Elizabeth. It's outstanding. Squid Game is a great, really compelling, very interesting story on many different levels. And it's also a great piece of genre entertainment. Call it dystopian sci-fi if you want. But it's fantastic. And there's a reason why it's become such a cause celeb or whatever. Just like The Queen's Gambit. And all of at the cinema, it seems like the only things that I'm excited for are superhero movies. And or maybe science fiction thrillers. It's superhero movies or indie horror. It seems to be but they're, I long to see something like Hunt for Red October or Die Hard or something like that in theaters. Now we're getting things like The Old Guard or Red Notice or Six Underground or whatever, but there's something about these movies that don't feel genuine. Like that clip of Dwayne Johnson and Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot fighting in the, wherever that is, some museum. I watched that and I'm like, I found it strangely disconnecting to me. And I know what Martin Scorsese means. Because all of the drama, the stories that used to make for compelling cinema, all of it has moved over to long-form storytelling on our streaming services, which is great. We're getting great stuff. All kinds of diverse storytelling. When I mean diverse, I'm not talking about the color of the people that are making it. I'm talking about the actual just kinds of stories. You can jump from Squid Game to The Crown to The Chestnut Man to midnight mass. I mean, there's all kinds of really interesting and really compelling stuff out there. And the superhero movies are tremendous. But I have to say, even as I'm watching all this stuff, I'm like, it's going to be cool. You know, and we got Eternals. I can't wait to see Eternals next week. I got Far From Home. We got Dune opening. Or No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Venom's still in theaters. I'm just like, I'm kind of tired of it. Like, I'd love to go to the theater and be excited about, like, I was excited about Dune. You know, a big literary adaptation. But the problem with that is, and by the way, it's an incredible experience. I'm seeing it again on Sunday the 24th, you know, in IMAX. At the Chinese at 11:20 in the morning, I think, for Dave Hargrove, my friend Dave Hargrove's birthday. So that's going to be exciting. And join us. Just show up there. It's going to be a great time in the IMAX cinema. And I love, but even Dune, I've seen 2 other iterations of it. And while Denis Villeneuve is one of my favorite directors that's currently working, and I'll go see anything he's made, just because, talk about peak verisimilitude, he's the man. But I look at this stuff and I'm thinking, I'd love to see a verdict. You know, I don't know if you've seen this film before. It stars Paul Newman. It's from 1982. It was made by Sidney Lumet, one of the great directors, the likes of which we don't even have any directors like Sidney Lumet anymore. Paul Newman should have won his Oscar for that performance. It's about a burnt-out alcoholic lawyer who's at the end of his rope, who ends up in a medical malpractice case that he's probably never going to be able to win. And it's a quiet film, but it packs a punch. And there is, dare I say it, if you haven't seen it, I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but there's a reveal in the film, and you'll know when it comes, that even now, I even think about that reveal, and I'm just like, oh man, like down in my, right now I'm having that whooshy thing that happens when you think about something, you know, like the I am your father. It's that, you know, when you felt that first, I don't know if you did, but I did. First time I saw it, it's like, that's not true. That's impossible. You know, when you, that feeling, that and you always want that feeling, like when something is revealed. I even had that feeling when I first read Watchmen, the comic book Watchmen. End of issue 11. I'm not some Republic serial villain, Dan. When Ozymandias reveals his plot and he says something to the effect of, "Do you think I would explain my master plan if you had any hope of stopping it from happening? I did it 38 minutes ago," or something. How, I don't know, the quote eludes me from the comic, but it's something along those lines. I got that whooshy feeling. That whole thing that goes from, it's that tingling thing, it goes all the way through your body. It's not like an orgasm, which is kind of like that, but it's an intellectual realization thing that becomes this physical manifestation through your body. That's what I live for, when a story does that to me. And when I read Watchmen, when I got to that point, and then you turn the page, and it's so great because you see Dan's face and you see Rorschach's face, and it kind of fades out, and you see there's the last panel on the last page, and it all goes to white. And that's the end of issue 11. I mean, come on now. That's what we live for. And there's a moment like that in The Verdict. And it happens to me every time I watch it. Even though I know it's coming. There's this, and it's not like, it's not Sturm and Drang. It's not like that. It's just, it's, you know, you get this point, you're like, oh my God. And when it happens, I know it works every time. Whenever I watch that movie, whenever I put on that movie, I'm like, oh my God, I love this movie so much, because it's just a character study. And Paul Newman is so good in it. And all the actors, peak verisimilitude. I mean, every shot in that movie, my God, I don't even think filmmakers, with the exception of maybe like David Fincher. By the way, I'm going to show this tomorrow. Volume 2. Social Network, 4K. And goddamn, does it look good. Ooh, it looks good. But anyway, you know, those are the kind of things you want from movies, man. And I miss it. I love my superhero movies because I've been a fan of, and that's why, I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I love what they're doing because it's like one ongoing concern. I don't get tired. It's not that I get tired of it. But when I was at, watching all this DC fandom stuff, and it's all beautifully made, and it's all going to be awesome. The Batman looks like kick-ass. I can't believe I'm still excited to see a new iteration of Batman. But here we are. And hearing Michael Keaton's voice, chills, man. And what a great way to end it with Ezra Miller about to whip off the tarp off the Batmobile. And it was witty, very funny. And Andy Muschietti coming off of the success of It 1 and 2. I mean, what's not to love? I'm excited to see all this stuff, but I really want to go to the movies again. And I want to see The Verdict. Or I want to see Bob Fosse's All That Jazz. Bob Fosse could never get All That Jazz made. Hell, he couldn't get Cabaret made. To be honest, one of the things I'm most excited to see now is I want to see Spielberg's West Side Story, if only because I love Steven Spielberg, and West Side Story is one of my favorite musicals of all time, and I love the movie. I've seen it in 70 millimeter like 6 times. I never get tired of West Side Story. The new one looks fantastic, but again, it's something I've already seen. It's a remake. And I love movies so much. I've been going through stuff, and there's so much great stuff out there. But I really, I just want to see something new,